Hi guys, this is Tina. Welcome back to my channel. So I'm just here for another bit of a play with our Gosford green junk journal kit, and we have been making obviously the journal to go alongside the physical kit, and both the physical kit and the digi-kit that was for sale in my shop. The digi-kit's still obviously available, and I'm filming this series ahead, so who knows, the physical kit might be as well, but hopefully they went down well and were popular. So we've just been making kind of pockets and things like that, and I think at the last count it was something like I had another kind of 8 or 9 pages left to make pockets and pieces for. So I'm going to make this pocket. Now hopefully I've done a tutorial on this by now, but it might be that the tutorial is not up yet. So basically what I've got is a double page here from the book page. Now your book pages that you've received, mine for instance, I didn't have any, I don't think, that were left that were joined up still. Now that's absolutely fine, they don't have to be joined up. I've just got this here to just demonstrate kind of how I'm making this. So all I'm going to do is take the first page here, and I'm going to just fold it in half. Actually, I'm going to fold it this way, like that. Oops. So in half lengthways, like that. Like that. And then I'm going to fold down my corner on the front, what would be the front of that pocket, if that makes sense. And then on this one, it was obviously joined. Now this one obviously is not joined, but that's not a problem. So all I'm going to do is literally put it against here as if it were joined, so that I can tell exactly, you know, where I need to fold. And then what I want to do is fold this to approximately where that other pocket begins, if that makes sense. So like that. Does that make sense? Hopefully. Okay. And then I'm going to actually do this way round, but obviously I folded it towards me so that I had a better idea of where it needed to be. Now obviously this book page is actually a bit longer than the height of my pages, so I'm just going to trim this down to the sort of height that I might like this in my journal. So I'm thinking tallish, but not as tall as the page. So my first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to glue in the triangular corner like that. Now again, I am not claiming these to be my idea. I hadn't seen these on anyone else's channel, but that doesn't mean that they have not been done. Please do not think that I'm saying that they're mine. You know, I know that Patricia is absolutely awesome, so she probably has done these, to be honest, and I just haven't come across them. So, you know, please don't think that I'm trying to claim anybody else's ideas as my own. I just merely might not have seen these. You know, they might be out there, but I just might not have seen them. So, yeah, I'm not trying to say that they're my idea, but I haven't seen them. So that's your back part of the pocket, and that's your front part, like that. And then all you're going to do is obviously stick them together to make a complete pocket. Now this is where obviously you can stitch around these on your sewing machine, or you can glue. Now I'm just going to glue because obviously my sewing machine's not here. I don't think it really matters. I think the glue, you know, works perfectly well. Obviously the sewing, you know, that makes a really lovely extra element, but you know, don't be put off if you haven't got a sewing machine, because I don't think there's much that you can do with the sewing machine in your journal that you can't do with the glue. So there we go. And then I'm going to just glue this down onto that other piece of paper. So there you've got a whole nother pocket. You've got this really skinny, sort of long skinny pocket here, and then you've got this pocket here, and then when you glue it down, you could also glue it, you know, like on 3 sides, and you'd have another pocket then there, which, you know, just is another sort of extra something a bit different in your journal. Okay, let's just neaten that up. So that's another kind of pocket there. Let me just move that out of the way. I just had that there merely to show you in case you hadn't seen my tutorial. Okay, so now, actually I'm just going to trim that top bit down because I obviously misaligned that slightly. Okie dokie. So now obviously we just have the fun bit of decorating. So let's just have a look at the stuff we have to decorate with. Right, sorry, I just nipped down to get a cup of tea because all this chatting, it's thirsty work after a while. So I've got my tea now, which hopefully spur me on. Right, so let's get decorating some bits. So I've obviously pulled all, well not all, but pulled some bits off of the floor that I've got beside me. All the bits and bobs that came with the kit. So we'll just have a look and see how it might be nice to decorate this up. So just playing around. That wallpaper's lovely. I have never really worked with wallpaper before, you know, until I did this kit. I just did literally, I think I used this same wallpaper in one of my 3 in 30. I don't think I've used wallpaper in anything else. It's really quite fun to use. So I hope that you guys are thinking it's quite fun to use if you bought the kit. Now I've got some sheet music, obviously from another piece that we did. So I'm just going to tear that down there. Actually, just kind of layer that up a little bit. I'm definitely liking the sheet music on there. Now, do I want to go for, could have a bit of wallpaper in there. It's kind of nice, isn't it? Right, I'm going to commit and glue that sheet music down. I really do find that helpful to just literally get 1 or 2 things stuck down. I know I'm saying it all the time lately, but I'm saying it because I really am finding it helpful. You know, if I don't stick something down, I just have too much choice to make, and you know, that throws me then completely, to be honest. It's much better once I've at least committed to something. I'm just wondering, oops, I've got that there. If I were to have this up here, or actually could have that sort of bigger piece in there. Oh, decisions, decisions. Now, is that too much? Too much of the green? Maybe it's better like that. Okay. So let's just glue this down. So I'm really going for using every single little scrap, which I love. Love it when you can kind of use everything. Makes you feel good, you know, that none's going to waste. So I've got that one on there. Just going to glue this piece down. Now, I said this in a recent video, my vintage photo, I do still have a little bit, but it's very, very dry. So I've ordered walnut stain because I couldn't get vintage photo from Amazon, and nowhere really very close by sells the Tim Holtz inks. So I'm using this walnut stain. It is quite, I don't know whether I would use the word dark. I guess it's more grey based than the vintage photo. I do like it. I think it's quite a nice alternative and a bit, you know, bit of a change. But I'm just having to be a little bit careful because obviously where it's brand new, it's quite inky at the moment. So I just need to be a little bit aware that I'm not sort of over inking and making everything really black. I have had the walnut stain before, but it was a really long time ago. And just going to use this to ink up down that edge, just so as I don't get the ink everywhere. Yeah, I've had the walnut stain before, but it was a really long time ago, and it might have been sort of in my scrapbooking days, or maybe my mini albums. I mean, I do still like mini albums now, but I haven't made any for a while. I might have to make one soon. But yeah, it's quite a dark as in more black grey type based, whereas the vintage photo is quite brown. This just seems to have a little bit more black sort of grey tinge to it. So, you know, but it's nice for a change. And I also, while I was ordering it, I thought I would treat myself, because I saw on somebody's video, and I don't know who this was. It was one of those, you know, recommended videos, somebody I had never watched before. I think she does like more mixed media type stuff rather than junk journals. But she had a blue colour. She didn't say what it was, but I thought it looked absolutely gorgeous. So I treated myself to, you know, what hopefully was the right colour. I haven't even opened it yet, but it's called Blueprint Sketch, I think it's called. Oh, it just looks like the most gorgeous colour, so hopefully it's going to be lovely. So I must, you know, I must show you guys. I mean, maybe some of you have got it already, I don't know. But, I mean, in the shops, my nearest shop that sells kind of Tim Holtz type stuff is Hobbycraft. We have a shop here called Hobbycraft. And to be fair, they really hardly stock any... Actually, they really hardly stock any Tim Holtz stuff. They're gradually sort of whittling it down. I don't know whether they're going to stop doing it altogether, but they really don't have a lot of his stuff at all. Oh, I quite like that. Yeah, so it's quite a shame because there's nowhere to actually see the ink pads in the flesh. I mean, aside from there, I honestly don't know where would be the next place. No, I have no idea where would be the next place. I can't think of a single craft shop anywhere that would actually kind of stock things like that, which is such a shame because, you know, sometimes you want to see things in the flesh before you actually buy them, don't you? But, you know, I mean, thank goodness again for Amazon, to be honest. There we go. I mean, as I say, it looks really stunning colour, and hopefully it will be. There we go. I mean, some towns have like lovely independent craft shops. We've never had an independent craft shop, unfortunately, where I live. And oh, it's such a shame. I would absolutely love one. But, you know, I mean, I guess obviously, I guess it's not a viable business, you know, otherwise I'm sure somebody would have opened one. But it's a shame because obviously, although online is fantastic, you know, like I say, you do sometimes want to actually see what things look like in the flesh, don't you? You know, and it's kind of more fun to go into a shop than order online, really, isn't it? There we go. Right, I'm just going to pop that bird on there. Like that. Okay, I did stick that down, didn't I? Yeah. For a minute I thought, oh, I'm not sure I stuck that down. So we've got that, and then I'm just going to pull in the words, because maybe we'll have a word on here. So I've just got imagine here, that just happens to be the second or the next word down. I'll just tear that one out. Just pop that down there, I think. So again, just ink that up with that walnut stain. Can you see it's just got a bit more of a blacky tinge, but I don't dislike it. I think it's really nice. And then I've just got some lace here, so just going to move this book page because it's getting lost in amongst the book page now. I can't tell what's my pocket and what's just that book page. So obviously I do want some lace somewhere. It wouldn't really be much fun without any. But where to have that lace? That's the question. I quite like it down the bottom, to be honest. It's quite nice, isn't it? I might just cut that down here. And again, I'm just going to cut that header from there. I know I say this every time, but I mean, I don't always cut that header off, but just sometimes it looks a little bit heavy, you know, for the piece. Okay, so I'm going to pop it there. What I might do is just trim, see here, just where it's going to be in that join of that pocket, just so it's kind of got room to move. Does that make sense? So what I'll do, I'll just apply the glue to the pocket like that. Like that, and then just try and place that down there like that, so that then, you know, that pocket still opens, but that lace is sort of invisible that it's in too, if that makes sense. And then we just have our little word down there. Okay. So I hope everyone's having a good day. Hope you're all got nice weather where you are. It's a sunny day here. I mean, obviously it's cold, but I mean, it is, you know, winter, so I guess that's to be expected. But it's quite a nice day. Right, I'm going to leave that. I'm not going to muck about with that anymore, although now I am just thinking, oh, I haven't got any bling on there. Not sure I can quite manage to have a piece without a little bit of bling. So should we just have a little bit? We could have it on this side actually. Does that look like I've kind of balanced it out there? Do you know, I might just not have any bling on there. That just, maybe it's going to be a piece that shouldn't have any. Could have it running down that way. I'm not going to have any. And then when we put the, you know, the whatever's going to go in the pocket, I could maybe incorporate some bling on the thing that's going to go in the pocket. So let me just check I'm filming and I'm in frame. Yeah, fingers crossed. Have a sip of my tea and we'll move this to one side and do another piece. Okay, that's another piece done. Now the next piece, oh, right, had flown right off over to the side. So the next piece that I thought that we could do is, obviously I included this fabric in the physical kits. It's, at the moment, the fabric is actually glued on, or not glued, but it's stuck onto a label piece here, as you can see. And that's obviously, you know, that was for printing purposes. But what I'm wondering is whether we could make a little fabric pocket, but actually leaving it on the label, because then that's going to make that a lot sturdier, because obviously this isn't the, you know, the thickest fabric. So if I get something to gauge, you know, the size of the A4 piece. Oh gosh, come on. Right, I will pull in the journal. That might be the most straightforward thing. So pulling in the journal, and what I might do is do this for maybe the inside of the back cover, I think. Should we do that? Or do we think just for on a page? I think maybe the inside of the back cover. So all I want to do is cut around this to have on that page. So I'm just going to pick which side of the fabric that I want to have, if that makes sense, because obviously, you know, some has different pictures on it. I mean, this for instance has got that photograph of that lady, and this has just got these types of pictures. So if I go for that, check sort of what height that I want it. So if I think I'm going to cut it down there, so kind of middle-ish of that frame, and then approximately kind of across here. So I'm just going to trim that across like that. And then like that. Okay. Okay, so I mean, obviously that's slightly smaller than that page, and that's absolutely fine. I'm going to just trim down here where it's got that slight white border. There, like that. Okay. Okay. And then I'm just going to have another sip of my tea. Now, what I'm thinking is to reinforce that and make sure that that stays stuck onto the label is just to stitch around on the sewing machine where that's stuck on that label. Of course, you could obviously take that off of the label and have that just as a fabric pocket. But I just thought that having the label there gives it slightly, well, I guess a stiffer kind of texture really, which, you know, might be kind of handy for in our journals. So I'm going to stitch that around on the sewing machine, and then I will come back. Right, just before I stitch it on the sewing machine, I'm back already. Because I then suddenly thought, actually, I think what I'm going to do is have a little bit of my lace. So the lace from the, you know, the neck curtain piece. So I'm just going to trim a little tiny bit down there. So again, I'm just going right the way across. Oops, just so I've got a little piece to work with. Okay, so I'll move that out of the way. And I'm just going to stitch that. When I stitched on the sewing machine, I'm going to stitch this as well. Now, do I want to have it as a little ruffle across the top? The only thing is, I might have a ruffle down the edge, in which case it would be ruffles and ruffles. Let me just check how that would look. So I'm just going to pull in one of my ruffle pieces here from the other fabric, just to check how that would look, whether it's like an overdose of ruffles then. I mean, personally, I don't mind that. What do you guys think? I think that's quite nice, to be honest. Because otherwise I would have to have this flat, you know, which is fine too. But I just think the ruffle might be nicer. So just pop that down there. Yeah, so I think I'm going to go for the ruffle, unless, let me just check, we could have flat with something. No, I'm going to, I think, ruffle that. Now, just before I do that, I'm just going to see whether I want to have anything kind of papery stuck on there with some lace. No, I don't think I do. So I'm going to go down and I'm going to stitch around the edge of here, and then hopefully stitch this on like a ruffle across the top, and then I will be back. Okay, so I'm back now. So that's how that looks, which is just really pretty, isn't it? And it was just super simple to do. So that's another piece which I should put down behind us. Let me just move the journal out of the way. Okay, let me pull in another piece. So I've still got this page which I'm still holding. What is going on? I have no idea what that's about. It's just ridiculous. Oh, why do I do things like that? I have no idea. It's just bizarre, to be honest. Right. Okay, I still can't bring myself to use it just yet, so hopefully I'll work my way up to it whilst we're making this little piece here. So I think what we'll do is we will make, I think just a little envelope actually. So if we just fold that in like that, and then obviously fold the flap over at the top like that. Just going to trim it down here where obviously it's sort of misaligned at the edge. Okay. And again, I mean, obviously this piece would look lovely stitched on the sewing machine, so I might have to run back downstairs again. I feel like I'm up, down like a yo-yo at the moment, but let me get my walnut stain. So let me just grab that messy book page again. Okay. So again, I'm just going to ink around this a little bit. Like that, just so it's not quite so stark ivory. And I'll just ink in here. And the reason I'm doing that is because obviously if I punch a thumb hole now, then it's nicely inked up for inside the thumb hole. So just take my punch. Okay. And then I'm just going to get my corner rounder and just round the envelope. Oops. Like that. Okay, now what I will probably do is have this as a side envelope, I think, because I think it's probably quite wide to have on the page. Just again pull the journal back in and then we can just check. I mean, it would fit on the page, but it would literally be the entire width. So I can either trim it down a bit or we can have it sort of more sideways. What do you guys think? Might just quickly have a look through because of all of our pieces long so far. I might have to trim it down because otherwise I think actually all of our pieces are long. So we don't want all the same shaped pieces, if that makes sense. So I think what I will do is just trim it down. Now what I'm going to do is just trim, because I've already punched my thumb hole, I'm going to trim a piece off, I think, from either side. So hopefully I will still have my thumb hole then vaguely somewhere in the middle. Okay, so I need to now round my corners again. I might have thought to do that, mightn't I? Before, you know, trim it down before punching the rounded corners, but never mind. So just punch those corners. Oh gosh, my punch is not really doing the trick today. Okay, so that's my little envelope piece. So again, you know, I could now stitch it on the sewing machine, but because I don't want to just be, you know, up, down, up, down, up, down, I'm just going to glue it down, because otherwise when I come to edit the video, it will literally be in about 10 sections, which, you know, is then makes long wind of editing it, I find. So it's better if there's less segments to have to join. Okay, so that's that piece. Okie dokie. Now I don't know whether I really need to actually ink the green, because I mean obviously the green is quite dark anyway, so you know, I'm not sure how much it really is picking up the ink anyway, to be honest. So I don't think I'll bother with that really. But I do want to have some sort of closure on my envelope. Now, I could use the string, obviously, that was included with the kit. Let me just reach down and grab it. Oops. We could use this string. Or we could use something else as a closure. So let's have a look. I've obviously got these lovely vintage photographs that I just printed these on that craft paper, which I thought was really nice, to be honest. So we could have something like that, or we could have the string. Let me just see how the string's going to look around this. I mean, obviously I am going to decorate this envelope yet, but depending on what the closure will be, will depend on how I decorate it, because obviously if I'm going to decorate it using something as the closure, you know, that will kind of have a bearing on what I can use. So if I were to have that there, let's just have a look and see what piece we might like to decorate it with. So again, let's just have a quick look. And I could have one of those gorgeous labels. And I was looking at her, she's quite lovely, isn't she? I've been doing other videos in between this, and I do find that really does throw you, because you know, you're in the zone for one thing and then you do some other videos and it just throws you off your game a bit, and yeah, it makes it difficult to get, you know, back on track with what you were doing in the first place, I find. Don't know whether other people find that as well. So we could have it like that, and then we could have just some lace going across the envelope. Yeah, let's do that, because I feel like otherwise I'm just going to be here all day faffing around with this. So I'm going to glue the string on. I know not everybody likes this string. I mean, that obviously came as a shock to me, because I love the string. So, but of course, different strokes for different folks, and that's absolutely fine. I do really like string, so, you know, again, if you've bought the kit and you are actually following kind of what I'm doing, then by all means just use a paper clip as your closure, or pick one of the pieces from the kit that you can use as your closure. You know, you don't have to use the string, of course you don't. So I'm thinking we will have another piece of that lace. So I'm going to just cut another skinny strip off. So we just cut it across the top here. Like that. Okay. And then just go across there. Now this piece is a little bit thinner. I've obviously not cut it very straight, so I mean some is much wider, but actually I quite like it, you know, that slightly thinner section, I think. So I'm just going to pop that on there with the 3-in-1 glue. Like that. So I hope if you bought the physical kit that you're really enjoying using it. I mean, it's a really pretty kit, and I know I did say this before, but I absolutely love this colour green. It's just gorgeous. You know, and this is very kind of nature inspired kind of colour wise. So yeah, I hope that you're enjoying using it. Now, just thinking we'll have maybe a bit of doily kind of coming out. So actually, I think I've got some of the rectangular doily here. So we'll just kind of have that poking out there, I think. Now, do I definitely want that green one, or would I prefer a slightly more contrasting colour? Maybe like this one here. I'll just cut this one down. Like that. I did really like it with the green, but actually I think it's quite nice with the contrast. So just going to pop this bit of doily on like that. Oops. And funnily enough, I had said about this doily and how I thought that the ideal thing for gluing it down was going to be the glue stick, the Yoo-hoo glue stick, which I don't seem to have used particularly much, to be honest. I'm not sure how much I like it. You know, it does take a lot of getting used to, I find, trying new glues, but funnily enough, I've had a couple of people agree that actually it just seems to sort of glue the doily down like beyond recognition almost. So what I thought it was going to be so perfect for, actually, you know, it's not turned out so great. So I'm sticking with that 3-in-1 for gluing the doily down instead, because I'm just not too sure, you know, that I overly love that really flattened out doily kind of appearance. Now I've glued this down just on three sides, because this can then act as a little pocket for a journaling card. So I'm just going to pop that on there, and then I wonder if that would fit in there. Yay! So we could have that there. So if I just ink this up a little bit, I'm just going to ink it up on the other side. Obviously there's no need to do that if you're gluing down the whole, you know, if you're gluing it down, but when it's going to be something that's pulling out, then you do really want it glued down. Inked up. Sorry, going completely mad today. There we go. And then I think what I'm going to do is just do a little flower to the side as well. So I just can't be bothered to rummage through the stuff to find the fussy cut pieces. So I'm just going to literally fussy cut these. I might only need one, to be fair. So let me just cut that out. Oh, I'm sure that I mentioned a few weeks ago, or a few videos back, about reinstalling my YouTube app on my iPad. Well, the good news is, touch wood, it's still, you know, still going strong. It has made such an incredible difference, because I had literally come to the point, you know, I could not do a video without having to then upload it. And if, God forbid, that I had to edit the video, you know, when you then come to, I think I have that flower up there. When you come to then save the video, I mean, I just use the iMovie, which comes with the iPad, which is, you know, probably a very basic video editor. But I mean, it's good enough for what I need it for. Well, that obviously saves a whole new version of the video. It didn't even have space half the time to do that. So, I mean, it really was just driving me potty how awful it had become. I can't tell you how awesome it has been since doing the, you know, reinstalling of my YouTube. It's literally completely transformed the entire experience. You know, it's gone from being literally like unusable to amazing. I mean, I think I filmed like 5 videos without uploading them. You know, was able to film 5 and then upload them. I don't know, I maybe could have got even more on there, who knows, but I mean, at 5, I thought I was probably pushing my luck. So I obviously did upload them, but it's just amazing. You know, and also, I mean, before it had come to the point where it was like, oh no, I'm going to have to edit this and then it's not going to want to fit on. Where now, obviously, you know, it's no problem and it still can then resave the video. Sorry, I'm just standing up to make sure that I was filming. Having just sat there saying all that stuff, I just thought, oh, I'd best check actually. So that's my little envelope and I'm just going to tie that closed. Okay. So yeah, I'm hoarding that piece of paper, this sheet, deciding what piece can I do that is going to show that off to its best. Still undecided at the moment, so not quite sure. So I'm going to just pop it to one side, still working my way up to using that. So the next one that we'll do is, I thought what we could do is just a little book page pocket like this. So just folding in the book page, and then I'm just going to fold down across diagonally like that. Literally like that. Oops, actually, that's talking about something or other attacking. This is like a history book of history of Europe, I think. So got some, you know, kind of information about war-related type things, I think. Right, that's that. Now, have I got... No. So let's just glue this flap down. Like this. I mean, obviously as well, I'm trying to do a few different pockets and things to the Flights of Fancy. I don't want to just make a kind of identical journal, so it's hard to, you know, think of endless different types of pockets and things like that to use, really. But yeah, that's the plan, is so that you've got things that are looking slightly different. I don't want to just have it looking completely the same, because that just would be really boring for you guys. Now, just wondering whether I could actually back that with the fabric, which might be kind of nice. What do you guys think? I mean, that really has only just dawned on me, but because I wanted to obviously thicken up the back of that book page, and I just then thought actually it might look quite good if it was actually backed on to the fabric. So I think that might work nicely. So let's just play around and see what else we're likely to put on there. I've got a label version here of this same image, obviously on card rather than the fabric, so we could sort of marry it up with that. That's really nice, isn't it? What do you guys think? I really like that, actually. So I'm going to just trim this down like here. Like that. Now, I'm just deciding whether I want to actually keep that on that label backing. I guess really it depends whether I'm going to stitch this on the sewing machine, and I wasn't going to, but I probably should, because it would look really nice. So I'm just thinking, like, you know, if I'm going to stitch it on the sewing machine, I can just glue that straight down on the label backing. So in fact, I don't even need to use that glue. I can use this tacky glue like that. Okay. I mean, I've not really ever used this label paper before, other than obviously printing on it and then peeling it off. So, you know, this is a little bit trial and error for me, but I just figure if you're stitching around it as well, to be honest, you know, why not? Why not just, because that's all just giving it a little bit extra strength anyway to the piece, isn't it? So there we go, and I'm just going to trim down this edge as well, just to make it slightly neater, like that. Okay. So again, we can just ink this up a little bit. Must try and remember that I'm using this walnut stain, which is, you know, dark. So not dipping it too much into the pad, like that. And obviously I'm just dabbing it off a little bit, like onto that book page behind, before I kind of apply it to the pocket. Okay, so I quite like that. And then I'm just thinking that up there, maybe there, or should I have like a long strip? Oops. Oh, the long strip is probably better, isn't it, to be fair? Yeah, I prefer it with the long strip. So I'm just going to, well, in fact, what I'm going to do, I think, is actually stitch that around first before I actually stitch that fabric on. So I'm just going to glue this down here. Oops. Like that. Okay, so this piece I'm going to obviously stitch now on the sewing machine to finish this off. So, and actually I've got to ink that little piece up, so we'll just quickly go over that a little bit there. Okay, oops, got some glue stuck on there. Okay, so that piece I'm going to obviously stitch on the sewing machine, and then that will be another kind of piece ready for our journal. Now let me just check what time we're up to, and unfortunately, because I've stopped the camera a couple of times, I really haven't got the foggiest idea now what time we're actually up to. So I'm thinking, oh, probably up to about 50 minutes, I think, probably. So I think we'll probably have to call it quits there for today, and I will obviously sew that piece and then come back for another episode, you know, cracking on with some more pieces. So I hope that you enjoyed the episode, and join me next time. Thanks very much for watching, and see you guys soon. Thanks, Em. Bye.